Now, the recent narrative surrounding the Rhodes Must Fall campaign at the University of Cape Town has sparked public debate about historical preservation in the face of transformation in the era of democracy and freedom. The representation of views on this matter appears as varied and as complex as our diverse nation. Today, we have the CEO of the National Heritage Council, Advocate Sonwabile Mancotywa, to shed a little bit more light about this. It's so good to have you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thanks, Len.
All right, so this is a big issue, and I think an issue that is going to provide a very interesting topic of conversation. What do you make of it, about what's going on around the country? And obviously, we'll put the Cecil John Rhodes statue at the center of all of this.
I think what's important in all of this, it's the role of statues and memorials as symbols of power relations in society. But again, once more, the importance of nation building and social cohesion as an area of strategic focus, the nation. That's very much important, because whatever you see, visuals, sometimes can be very emotional. Yeah. And therefore, that's why then, that's very important that as symbols of power relations in society, and old statues and memorials. It's not for the first time that we've seen this happening in Cecil John Rhodes. We've seen the destruction of Dungan Village Memorial, the Shaka Memorial. We've seen, many others. That is why the Heritage Council, we commissioned a study last year that looks at the whole policy processes that we need to get engaged on. And that study looked at international best practice throughout the world, how other countries have dealt with it. Remember, our transition to democracy in South Africa, there was reconciliation. Yeah. So we didn't see wholesale destruction or violent destruction of statues like other countries. Yeah. And so that's where we are. But as the Minister of Arts and Culture said, that we are a constitutional country. There are laws that need to be followed. Yeah. But of course, this has really put the issue of statues and memorials.
How do we, however, determine which statues we preserve? Because there are certain figures in our history. Obviously, we don't want to destroy our past. It's very important. We need to preserve our past, because unless you know where we come from, you'll never appreciate where we're going. I mean, we've heard this line many, many times. But surely there are certain historical figures that you really don't need to celebrate in a country. And by having a statue, perhaps in a university, we are in a way still celebrating them.
I think an important distinction needs to be made here of history and heritage. Because our history actually relates to everything that has happened, events of the past, and what historians actually define as history, and as well as heritage. Now, in heritage, you talk about those things that we would love to embrace. Going forward, our identity. Now, that's very much important in this discussion. We have seen, as we have already pointed out, there are areas, Kruger, Verwoerd, and others, who represent discredited ideologies, cannot be part of our heritage, but they're also part of our history. But the issue then is that how do we, embrace our heritage, but at the same time without forgetting our history? For instance, there are two proposals that are coming out of the policy process and the research that we have done at the Research Council. And those recommendations are as follows. One, that when it comes to colonial and apartheid statutes, that we need to make an audit as a country of all these memorials and statutes of colonial and apartheid past. For instance, we've already recommended the Hungarian experience, for instance, where you take all these monuments and statues that represent discredited ideologies into a memorial park, and keep them there so that everybody who wants to see them can go and visit and see them. It also contributes to tourism as well. But at the same time, answer a question that says that what common identity we would love South Africans to see in our public space that talks about place names, that talks about memorials and statues. That's the first recommendation. The second recommendation is a policy guideline on how do we erect and remove statues. I said that we are a constitutional democracy, as the minister said. We cannot just remove, or destroy statues. If I wake up tomorrow that I don't want a certain statue, then I can just destroy it. That is why then that's the second recommendation. Now we're going to take the policy process forward in May as the Heritage Council, as a policy-making body, to consult the public. We want, of course, we are planning a public discourse around May, around these memorial statutes. Of course, focusing on two recommendations. That is,
remove them, put them in a specific museum or park.
In a park, a memorial park, but at the same time contextualize them, because that's history. Contextualize them, give them meaning, narratives, and then put them there. But in our public space, again, say that what is it that we want to see as a sort of common identity? What is that we want to embrace? What is that? How to inspire the current and future generation in South Africa going forward?
But perhaps it's choosing those figures correctly as opposed to, and choosing the spaces correctly. I'd love to carry on. This is too short to talk about this. So I have to wrap it, but it's an interesting one. It really is. And it's not only Cecil John Rhodes, because now there's King George also happening. King George V at the University of Howard's College campus in KZN. You saw that being painted as well. So it seems that students and the youth are the ones that are driving this. So we really need to listen to them. That's what they want. Thank you for being with us.
An important distinction again of heritage and history. It's very much important that we don't confuse the two.
Absolutely.
In as much as we want
heritage and history should not be confused.
History, yes.
That's it. Thank you for joining us here. Advocate Sonwabile Mancotywa, the CEO of the National Heritage Council, talking about the defacing of these monuments that are found around the country. All right.